So this is basically a partnership between government and the mines. It's a win-win partnership. And we're putting in half of that 27 billion and the mines are putting in the other half. It's a non-commercial public-private partnership. In other words, the private sector isn't making money out of the partnership itself, but they're getting the benefits of getting the water.
South Africa's infrastructure challenge is no longer just about funding. In water-stressed regions, the cost of getting this wrong is felt immediately by communities, industry, and local economies. Today, we're examining a public-private collaboration that many see as a potential blueprint for future infrastructure delivery, the Badirammogo Water Partnership. For more, we are joined by Dr. Sean Phillips and Dr. Kobus Duvenhage. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Kobus, let's start off with you. Tell us a little bit more about the Badirammogo Water Project. What's it about?
Yes, so Badirammogo Water User Association was created in 2002, mostly by the mining sector under the National Water Act as a water user association, supplying water to mostly the PGM and the chrome mines in the eastern limb of the igneous bushveld complex in the Limpopo province. And from there, over the last 20 years, Badirammogo have successfully supplied water without interruption. And in 2013, government has also joined the association. Although we created under the National Water Act, government is also a member of the association. And we started to supply raw water in that sense also for social use out of the system. And this is then where the whole system have moved forward into where we're saying we are already in the system, we are working, can we expand on this? And so everything started in 2002 up to where we are now today.
Sean, I want to bring you into this conversation. I mean, why does a water user association particularly work when we think about public partnerships?
So why we're part of this project and very interested in it is because government doesn't have enough money on its own, enough capital in particular, to invest in new infrastructure and bulk infrastructure. The very nice thing about this project is it involves the construction of bulk infrastructure. The total cost of the project, including reticulation, is approximately 27 billion, but a large portion of that is bulk infrastructure. And that bulk infrastructure is going to end up supplying water both to the mines, which need more water, and to communities who've never received water. About 370,000 people in Limpopo who've never received water will get water as a result of this. So this is basically a partnership between government and the mines. It's a win-win partnership. And we're putting in half of that 27 billion and the mines are putting in the other half. It's a non-commercial public-private partnership. In other words, the private sector isn't making money out of the partnership itself, but they're getting the benefits of getting the water. As a result of this partnership, we can get capital that we don't have as government. We can also draw on the expertise of the private sector. And the Water User Association provides a mechanism for the mines to group together as water users. That's the whole idea of Water User Associations in the National Water Act, to provide a mechanism for a group of water users with similar interests to work together to advance their water needs in a communal way. So it makes logical sense to have the mining houses get together, create this Water User Association, and then partner with government. They're getting the bulk infrastructure at half price because we're putting in half. We're getting the services to communities at half price.
Kobus, let's come to you here. Since the Water User Association was established, what have been the achievements to date?
As previously mentioned, I think the one very proud aspect of it is that we supplied uninterrupted water to our off-takers. We also have installed a number of quite large projects in association with the mining and with the government. And as a Water User Association, as a non-profit organization, currently directly managed by both our members, which is then the commercial and the government sector, it creates the trust relationship that is needed to take the collaboration model forward, in the sense that all our decisions currently in the system is made on consensus. It's a 50-50 partnership. So everybody must drive for the same objective, which is water to grow the economy for social and mining industry. And on the basis of a same driver, you can then move forward. So currently on the first stage of this project, we have secured financing then from government as well as for the commercial sector from 3 of the large South African banks for the commercial side, through infrastructure and treasury and DBSA for the government side. And we have actually signing ceremony in December for commercial close. And 2 weeks ago, the 2nd of February, we commenced the implementation on stage 1 of this program. Hopefully we can have then everything working well within 33 months, water flowing in the Sekurue area of the northern limb, while currently we are operating in the eastern limb, and we will immediately also start with some quick win projects there to support the Sekhukhune district.
Sean, Kobus described this obviously as a 50-50 partnership. How do you as government exercise your oversight and your accountability role, at the same time being able to grant the association agility to be able to deliver what they want to deliver?
We are a member, as Kobus mentioned, of the Badirammogo Water User Association, so we attend all the meetings. And then there's a steering committee for this project. We're a member of that as well. When we provide, we've appointed Badirammogo Water User Association as the implementing agent, so they're going to be managing the construction process, both using the finance raised by the BWUA on behalf of the mining companies and the finance provided by government. When we appoint an implementing agent, there's criteria that apply. For example, that we require audited reports, etc., and that there be proper controls over the expenditure of the money. And we're confident with the Badirammogo Water User Association, and from what we've seen so far of how they operate and the information that they provided to us, that they're doing a very good job of sticking to those requirements.
Kobus, I'm looking at 2 regions here, Sekhukhune and Mogalakwena, and we've got the Olifants Model Management Program where it's going to be implemented. From an infrastructure outcomes perspective, what can the community expect over the next couple of years?
So the first thing they will see is, and it already started, is a big driver on a project like that is the community and social involvement. You will see in the media there's a lot of talk about construction mafia and other like this. We, through our past experience of projects in that region, is take the community along, make them part of the project, and they help you to manage these, I want to say, external influences impacting you. So the first one is we are upgrading schools, we have learner programs, direct stuff that the communities themselves need in the area as part of the system. We are spending 1% of project capital on the communities as part of the SED program. So the first thing they will see is they will see us obviously then on this SED projects. They will see us. The second thing is the yellow equipment will hopefully start arriving, and as part of the process is local labor will be utilized. We don't have construction camps. You will utilize the local villages for housing and all of this. So we make them really involved. At the Mokopane Sekurue area, you will see the first water flowing within 33 months. Like we say, in the eastern limb, there's already water available. We are currently busy with the finalization of a stage 2, which, if everything goes according to plan, we should be able to start in a 6-month period that in the eastern limb can also have bulk water, additional bulk water available by the end of 2028. So the communities should be able to see a difference. If you go into those communities, there's what we called also dry infrastructure, as well as a lot of informal developed networks and systems, but also some of them quite formal through the SLP programs of the mining. So as the communities are using boreholes, the community has grown more than what the borehole can supply. So we believe as soon as the bulk water becomes available, those communities, we will tie into those. They will see immediate a difference. The mining sector is currently supplied with the water. Their expansion programs can continue. So we, other than the smaller stuff, the SED, real water will flow part of this OMM program by 2028.
Okay. Sean, Kobus earlier mentioned that the association is constituted under the National Water Act, if I'm not mistaken. How does what they do strengthen the idea around collaboration as opposed to, working in parallel? How does all of this come together then?
Well, there are a number of mechanisms in the water sector and institutional mechanisms. For example, we've got water boards which provide support to municipalities by providing bulk water. And we designed specific, or the authors of the National Water Act thought about specific mechanisms that are fit for purpose in thinking about the water sector and how you can best structure it institutionally in South Africa to get the most benefits. And one of the institutions that they thought of is that the fact that there may be groups of users of water who could get benefits and economies of scale by working together. The mining sector is one example, but there are also water user associations in the agricultural sector. And we're looking forward to doing similar partnerships with water user associations in the agricultural sector as well in future.
Let me stay with you. Does this partnership provide a model to be built out into other industries, other sectors? Are there lessons that can be learned here and insights?
Yes, most definitely. So we're already talking to a Water User Association, which is another group of mining companies related to the Vaal-Gamagara water supply scheme in the Northern Cape. And that's probably going to be our next big partnership with the Water User Association. And then we're also, with the help of the Infrastructure Fund, which is something that President Ramaphosa created to try and facilitate a blended finance projects like this and partnerships like this between the private sector and government. They're also helping us to engage in consultations with the agricultural sector as well. There are a number of agricultural water user associations which have also expressed interest in exploring the possibility of such a joint partnership with a blended finance approach. For example, we're just completing the raising of the dam of the Clanwilliam, the dam wall of the Clanwilliam Dam in the Western Cape, which is going to provide a lot more water for agriculture in that area of the Western Cape. But there's a need to upgrade and develop the conveyance infrastructure to take that water to where it's needed for the irrigation. And that's a very good example of something that could be a partnership between us and the relevant water user association there.
Over the past couple of days, we've had conversations around partnerships and collaboration, and that seems to be a theme as well in terms of how a lot of your counterparts are seeing various things. For those who want to learn from this partnership here, what would you say are the conditions that need to be in place for this to work? Let's start with you, Kobus.
Okay, so first of all, there need to be a common need. That is very critical because, like I say, this is a partnership and therefore the drivers associated with the need is the same. And to add what Sean was saying earlier, one of the proposals we actually made for this model was, if it works for water, why don't it work for transmission? Water in a pipe, electrons in a cable. And the mining sector in the Eastern Limb already approached us to ask if we can support with the electrical similar model, so it don't have to stick to water. This is where there is a common need where, for that specific example, the mining sector, they have gone renewables in many cases because there's unreliable supply in the past, which is hopefully resolved now, but they are sinking some energy into the ground, for instance, because they can't get it away based on your solar. A stable network will allow also the wheeling of these type of renewable energies across South Africa. The mining sector, now specifically because we are partnering with them mostly as well as the DWS, have the similar to the water electricity need. And this model can be also, but again, the driver is there's a common need, common objective. Like Sean also mentioned, it's a win-win for both parties. The government don't have sufficient funds to cover everywhere in the country, but also the mining sector, they have the need. Also, what is making a big difference is your implementation agent, and again, they need to see direct access to it. It's not that money goes somewhere and then you hope your project arrives. We as a Water User Association, and we assume on the model it must be similar, directly managed by the, can I call it the funders, although in this case, or the ultimate users of the infrastructure. So they can also determine timelines and make sure these type of infrastructure match what they see in their long-term strategies and planning. So it is not a distance away, it's direct control, very important.
Your thoughts?
Well, from the government side, you need to have the right policy environment, which we have now. The President's made it clear since he became President that he's very supportive of government partnering with the private sector, that he's very supportive of these kind of partnerships where there's joint funding and where it makes sense from both government side and the private sector to invest together. Then you also need to have people with the right mindset in the government department and with the right approach who are willing to do things differently. What we're doing here is with Badirammogo is the first time we've done something like this as the Department of Water and Sanitation. And it's difficult in government to do something new because government is very highly regulated. You have to be quite bold to do something new because when you do something new, you're not really sure if you're completely going to meet the regulatory requirements. In some areas, the regulatory requirements might be a bit unclear for something new. So you need, A, the right policy environment, B, people with the right commitments, but also people bold to do something new. And then on the private sector side, you need partners with a lot of patience. It can be difficult working with governments. You need people who have the bigger picture. There's been stumbling blocks that we've had to overcome, but we've kept the bigger picture in mind and we've overcome those stumbling blocks to get where we are today.
Okay, let me stay with you here, Sean. 5 years ahead, if you look at this, what would you imagine the measure of success is going to be here in terms of this particular partnership? What will you be looking for?
The infrastructure, I'm not sure about 5 years, but say 5 to 8 years, yeah. The infrastructure should be built. The mines, hopefully the platinum price will stay high enough for the mines to be using all of that water, additional employment having been generated, additional tax income coming from the new mining activity. We'll have used our grants with Badirammogo as an implementing agent to build all the distribution infrastructure to supply water to these 370,000 households. That infrastructure will then be owned by the relevant municipalities. So that's the vision that we're working towards and what we'd like to see by the end of it.
Okay, yourself?
Yeah, I think Sean mentioned quite a lot of them, and I can just echo what he's saying in the sense that the outcome, if there's a growing economy, a stable social infrastructure, then all other ventures will start growing to the benefit of everybody in that region and economy. And if we can get water to currently areas where some of those villages, they have not seen a piped water ever in their lives, that will be also great to make the difference, but at the same time, grow the economy, stabilize the system, and to the benefit of all.
Can I just mention one other very key factor? One of the reasons why this doesn't happen at the scale that it should be happening, these kind of partnerships in government and the private sector, is because generally speaking, government departments don't have expertise in blended finance. Public servants don't know much about raising money in the markets and the requirements for developing a bankable project. In this regard, we had the infrastructure fund, which I mentioned earlier, helping us, and they have played a key role. They've got a very competent group of people that they've recruited, some of them ex-Treasury people, but also people from the private sector. They have very good expertise in financial structuring, and they have brought expertise and ability to help us to bring it all together, to help us to reach the agreements, to approach the private sector for the lending that's being raised from them on the markets. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to do it because we don't have that expertise in the Department of Water and Sanitation.
I can just echo, Infrastructure Fund not only supported the institutional funding, but they supported us also securing the loans with the commercial banks here in South Africa. So the great team, great support. I can just echo what Sean is saying.
Kobus and Sean, thank you so much for your time. For more mining insights, you can go to miningindaba.com.